Charles Drew was born June 3, 1904 in Washington, D.C. His father was Richard Drew and mother Nora Burrell. He was the oldest of 5 children. Charles Drew attended Stephen Elementary and then Dunbar High School. Charles Drew loved to play sports. He was a standout student in football, basketball, and track. After high school, he attended Amherst College, where he received a scholarship to play sports. Charles Drew's sister Elise's death from pandemic influenza affected him a great deal. He wanted to study and become a doctor. However, the racial segregation made it nearly impossible for African Americans during that time aspiring to become medical doctors. Charles Drew was able to enroll at McGill University in Montreal, Canada to study medicine. He graduated at the top of his class with degrees as a Doctor of Medicine and Master of Surgery. During his internship at Montreal General Hospital in Canada, Drew gained more interest into researching about blood transfusions and plasma. He discovered that by separating plasma, the liquid part of blood, from the whole blood, where the red blood cells exist, and then refrigerating them separately, plasma lasted longer and was less likely to become contaminated. He also discovered that plasma could be dried and then reconstituted when needed. His innovation of mobile blood donation stations were later called blood banks. These blood banks were centers where donated blood could be stored and preserved for later use in transfusion. Drew helped establish a blood bank at Columbia University, where he became the first African American to receive a Doctor of Medical Science degree. While attending a conference in 1939, Drew met Minnie Lenore Robbins. That same year, they were married and later had 4 children. During World War II, Charles Drew was awarded the role of a supervisor for the Blood Transfusion Association of New York City and oversaw the Blood for Britain program, which saved the lives of many wounded soldiers. Charles Drew also helped to develop the blood bank for the American Red Cross and worked as a director collecting blood for the United States Army and Navy Department. The blood bank effort expanded in preparation for World War II. However, the United States military refused to accept blood donations from African Americans. Charles Drew soon resigned from his position in protest to the United States War Department's policy that African American blood should be separated from the blood of white Americans, when there was no scientific evidence to indicate any difference in human blood from race to race. Charles Drew returned to Washington, D.C. and to Howard University and became chief surgeon at Freeman's Hospital, highly praised within the medical professions and won many awards for his achievements. Sadly, in April 1950, Charles Drew and 3 other physicians were traveling to a free clinic in Tuskegee, Alabama, and got in a terrible car accident. The other passengers were injured but survived, but Charles Drew later died in the hospital. He was 45 years old. It was the same year that the American Red Cross announced it would no longer segregate blood donations. Charles Drew's legacy lives on today. He has received numerous awards and was featured in the United States Postal Service in 1981. His name is on many medical centers and educational institutions across the United States. There is a memorial bridge named after him in his hometown of Washington, D.C.